I think Yiddish culture undergirds a ton of what people perceive as American Jewish culture. And I think that the fact that that is the case but is not necessarily directly acknowledged or discussed does a disservice both to Yiddish-speaking Ashkenazi Jews and to Sephardi and Mizrahi Jews, or like non-Ashkenazi Jews, anyone else. Because I think, and then more broadly, I think that American Jewish culture that's undergirded by Yiddish culture, in turn, undergirds a ton of like American intellectual culture and isn't even necessarily acknowledged or discussed that it's a Jewish cultural thing. So like bagels, musical theater, like black and white cookie, like a lot of like New York culture. And it really bothers me that I also think like, well, I don't even know if I want to get into this, but there's also like, there's a tendency that I see among like fellow leftists to be ultra careful and respectful of other cultures, which is amazing and necessary, but they don't extend that same respect to Jewish culture. So like, I've had a friend say like, oh, I would never tell a black person like that I knew the best soul food in the city, like, because that's not my place. Like it's their place to tell me that. But I've had that same friend turn around and argue with me about what the best bagel in the city was. And yeah, I do not want to draw a parallel between those two experiences, and they're not like experiences of black people in America and the experience of Jews in America are, first of all, there are people who are both, and second of all, like, I don't want to get into that, drawing those comparisons, but I think that there is not the same respect afforded for Jewish particularity as like an ethnic group and a culture and a language, Ashkenazi Jewish particularity as a language, as with other cultures, and that definitely plays a role in the way that like American Jewish culture is just coded, like is not necessarily coded Jewish, and that I think Yiddish underlies a lot of that, and that sort of the, like, I think you see it in literature and in cultural production, like I think there are Yiddish syntactical currents and also like thematic interests that have made their way into American Jewish culture and literature for sure, and then that like those writers and those other artists and creators like influence broader American culture, and a lot of this, like there's Yiddish roots in a lot of this that doesn't get acknowledged.